like to bring up.
Welcome to the Final Call Radio Ministry, the weekly radio broadcast of Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. Greetings to you all, both here at the Final Call Administration Building at 734 West 79th Street and in our live radio listening audience on radio station WBEE 1570 AM. Also, to the Muslim community, I'd like to extend to you the greetings of Ramadan Mubarak during this month of Ramadan. Once again, we invite each and every one of you to join us here at the Final Call Administration Building. Even though the day may seem a little gray outside, we assure you that the shining faces of the Muslims here at the Final Call Administration Building and our wonderful guests will light up your day. And the light of truth that you are about to hear today from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad will brighten your life with a special message sent directly to you from God Himself. So call your friends and your loved ones and tell them that all is not lost, that there is a solution to their problem, that as bleak as it may seem in America today and around the world for the black man and woman, that a mighty God has delivered an answer to their problems, to all of the problems that threaten our community with death, with extinction. And you will hear this powerful message today emanating from right here at the Final Call Administration Building on Chicago's South Side. Today, from one of the ministers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, under the guidance of Minister Louis Farrakhan, you will receive guidance. You will receive a guidance that you cannot find anywhere else in the world today. All the capitals of the world are trying to figure out the solution to the problems in the world today. But time and time again, it always comes back to the black man and woman of America. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad warned that there would be no solution to the problems in the world today until the problem of the black man and woman of America is solved. And we hear a voice ringing out in America, a voice of freedom, justice, and equality, a voice that fears no one and that will stand against armies to deliver this truth to you. And this voice is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we welcome you once again to a radio broadcast that is brought to you by Minister Farrakhan. But before I bring before you Sister Ava Muhammad, who will introduce a very special guest to you today, I would like to once again urge you to support your own salvation. Black people seem to have a problem in supporting their own. We won't buy from black people. We won't support anything that will help us. But I'm asking you and appealing to you today to support this radio broadcast that is bringing you your salvation. You will not hear the truth that you hear across this radio station anywhere else. Turn the dial if you will, but anywhere you turn to, you will not hear this message. So I urge you, send your donations to 734 West 79th Street to the Final Call Radio Ministry to support your own salvation. We see a gap in black leadership today. We don't see any new solutions being offered to our problems, but we do hear one voice that has a solution, and that solution is support your own. So we call on you here in Chicago to support this radio station, this radio broadcast over this radio station, and to support Minister Louis Farrakhan and his life-giving work in the black community. If you have not heard of Clean and Fresh products, we urge you to call right now, 994-5775, and find out more about these products. Find out about shampoo that is made for you by black people with the best ingredients in the world for you. Shampoo and conditioner, hair pomade and conditioner, hand lotion, hand soap, bath soap, deodorant. Why don't you know about these products, black man and woman? They are made for you by a man who loves you, Minister Louis Farrakhan, and these products are guaranteed to keep you clean and fresh. So if you would like more information about these products, please call 994-5775. Become a part of the solution in the black community. We know that we are plagued by minds that are filthy, by bodies that are filthy, because we have been raised by a slave master who is filthy. So now you have an opportunity to become clean and fresh with products that will help you become a free black man and woman. So we call upon you. If you do not want to separate into a state that is your own today, at least separate onto some soap that is your own, produced by your own. At least accept shampoo that is made by your own, for your own. We call upon you, support these products, clean and fresh. We also want to make you aware that there is a product that is made available in the black community today that is healthy. The white scientists are saying that the best food for you to eat is fish because of the oil. You know that in the black community, black people drop off like flies from heart condition. The best food for a heart condition is fish. And yet we see in Minister Louis Farrakhan forward-thinking and forward-seeing leadership who many years ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, brought into the black community one of the cleanest fish that is available anywhere in the world. It's called Blue Seas Whiting, and you can get it by calling 994-5775. Leave that nasty hog alone. Leave those greasy, nasty ribs alone. They will take away your life. Eat something that is good for you, brought to you by a man who loves you, Minister Louis Farrakhan, under the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Finally, we invite you to subscribe to a newspaper that brings truth to you. They say in the white world that brainwashing is no good. That's because they don't want you to clean off of your brain that which they have put on it. Our brains carry a stain today. It is the stain of a lie that was put upon us. This lie permeates the news media. It permeates television. It permeates the videos that you spend so much time watching and spend so much money buying. What you need to do is to wash your brain. So wash it with divine truth brought to you in the Final Call newspaper. If you would like to buy a subscription to the Final Call newspaper, call 994-5775. Once again, 994-5775 for information about any of the products of your nation, the Nation of Islam. At this time, I would like to bring to you a sister who constantly delivers powerful messages to us today, and she will be introducing to you a brother who will continue in that same line of delivering powerful messages of truth that will rock your brain, rock your existence, and bring some light into your life. So before I introduce Sister Ava to bring forward our speaker, I call upon you, call your brother, your sister, tell them, drop that cocaine, let the reefer alone, even put the wine bottle down, and tune in to WBEE 1570 AM. There is hope, black man and woman. There is light that can come into your life if you would but open your eyes, open your mind, open your ears, and listen to a message brought directly to you from God himself. At this point, I'd like to bring forward Sister Ava Muhammad, who will introduce to you our special guest speaker. Once again, for information, call 994-5775, and please let us receive Sister Ava Muhammad with a round of applause.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. I greet my beloved brothers and sisters, both here in the Final Call building and in the listening audience, with the greeting words of peace in the language of our fathers of Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, I bring you greetings from Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is on the West Coast today, continuing in his effort to carry on the mission of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he sends you his love and greetings. We urge you in the listening audience to join us in the self-improvement course, which takes place 7:30 p.m. on Friday nights, a guide to self-improvement to better our own condition. Brothers and sisters, we are very pleased today to have with us a special guest lecturer, but though he is a guest, he is also our brother and our friend. This minister is a man who was not only a powerful spokesman for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but a man who had the vision and maintains the vision today to see that the way to work the mission of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is through aiding Brother Minister Farrakhan. The brother that I'm bringing before you has helped us in the mosque in Los Angeles, in Atlanta, and in New York City. He brings with him not only years of study and intense research to gather information that will help aid us, a misled people, to guide us on a right path by stimulating our minds to search for the truth. Not only is he a student, but he is a powerful brother who does not fear rejection or lack of popularity by this system, but has consistently stood strong for this truth from the time of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad right up to today. So let us not delay bringing him on. I have never heard this brother lecture from this rostrum when I did not gain something from it. Please welcome from New York City, Mosque number 7, our beloved brother, Abdul Allah Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his apostle. It's a great pleasure and an honor always to be here at headquarters, Mosque number 2 in Chicago. And I want to thank you for inviting me and thank you for welcoming me in the absence of our leader, Minister Louis Farrakhan, a man who I am proud to represent, as I said some time back in New Orleans. You know, I always knew that it was a blessing to have lived in the short span of time to be able to represent a great man like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But never in my wildest dreams did I believe that anyone could be so blessed as to represent two great men like that in one lifetime. Now, I hope you, don't get impatient with me because I'm one of those folks who deeply loves Minister Farrakhan. And because I loved his teacher and my teacher. Can you love the daddy and hate the son, or not love the son? And there are many of us I know who are running around out in the streets who swear we are followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and are not with Minister Farrakhan. That's impossible, and we're going to get to that today. I mean, I know some of you mean well, but meaning well and doing well is two different things. Now, I'm kind of maybe a fanatic on this subject. In fact, Brother Khalid Muhammad and Brother Salih Muhammad from Atlanta were traveling a few days ago, and they ran into the captain who was my trainer as I came through the FOI. It was many, many years ago, 58 to be exact, when he came to Los Angeles. And when my name came up, the brother said, "Oh yes, I remember him. He's a fanatic." And Brother Khalid said, "Is there anything else to be?" And that's true, because Brother Khalid understands the depth of that word. You see, you and I, if you read 1984 by George Orwell, you know that he said that one of the ways that you could capture people's minds and destroy their minds and totally control them, words are symbols of ideas. And when you look at a word in its original state, you can look at the roots and the prefix and the suffixes, and you can tell, having never seen the word before, what the word means, because it's connected to the symbol, the idea that it's a symbol of. But George Orwell pointed out in his book, if you can begin to distort the word, chop it up so that it bears no resemblance to its true meaning, then you can tell the people it means anything, and they got to go for it. All right? Now, there are many of you here who may be Cub fans. You may be Bear fans. No, I'm a Bull fan. Is it? But what is fan? Fan is an Orwellian contraction of the word fanatic. So now if I can be a fanatic for Michael Jordan, I sure can be a fanatic for Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I want to deal a little bit today with the very program that Sister Ava alluded to. Very able sister. I'm very, very proud to be on the team with her and our illustrious editor, Brother Wali. Better every issue. This brother is dynamite. But the course that Minister Farrakhan has us embarked on now, that Sister Ava alluded to, seems strange to most of us, seems radically different, and even confuses the minds of some who didn't quite understand what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was doing, because most of us were never taught directly by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And most of us got our teaching from somebody who got it from somebody who got it from somebody who said they got it from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. As a consequence, there's much misunderstanding about what he was actually saying and what he was actually trying to get us to do. The man today who best understands what he was trying to do is Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm totally convinced of that. I have no doubt in my mind. And every time he makes another move, I see more clearly that nobody understands the program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad like he does. There's all sorts of consternation about what we're doing. You see them Farrakhanites. Like I tell you, I've never been, I don't really. You know, most Muslims object to the name Mohammedan. And for years I did too. Just get mad when somebody called Muslim a Mohammedan. Until I learned who Master Farad Muhammad was and learned who the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was, and I was proud to be called a Mohammedan. Well, I know when Minister Farrakhan first stood up and began to get the nation back together, I was around a group of people who had been around the nation for a long time who were jealous and envious of him and used to refer to those who followed him as Farrakhanites. Well, I'm proud to say I today am a Farrakhanite. But let's look at his methodology. Some of it gets criticized unmercifully. I mean, you get it from both ends. You know when you know what I was saying, between a rock and a hard place? You're on the one hand, you've got the so-called Orthodox Muslims who are hollering, you don't have the right tawheed and your deen is not correct and blah, blah, blah. Then on the other hand, you got those Elijah Muhammadologists who are supposed to be such experts on his teaching, who are saying that Minister Farrakhan is getting off the track. Now, see, the messenger didn't take Ramadan in the summertime. We took Ramadan only in December. Well, when you don't know, you don't know. Well, see, Farrakhan is going into teaching you to do introspection and look at yourself. What about the white man being the devil? What about the system? What about separation? What about this? What about that? What about it? How are you going to do it? How are you going to do anything if you don't know yourself? I was listening to the radio a couple of weeks ago and they had some Indians on there from the tribes in New York. And they were describing how the white man had destroyed the Indian nation in the state of New York. It said that white man came in and it was one nation, a lot of tribes, but it was the Indian nation. The white man started talking to him saying, Iroquois? I mean, you're as great as the Seneca. You should be a nation. Iroquois said, yeah, well, we're the Iroquois nation. Seneca listened to the fork-tongued white man and said, yeah, well, we're the Seneca nation. So after a while, instead of having one nation with a group of interacting tribes, you had a group of nations. So then each nation had a common plot of land. First thing that the white folks told them, they said was they need to quit hunting. So that's where the Indians lived. They hunted. Well, see, when you're hunting every day for your food, you get pretty good with the bow and the arrow. So the white man wanted him to stop hunting and go to farming. So they talked to the Indians, and the Indians agreed, said, hey, that's pretty good. Maybe we do need to raise a few crops. They got their women together and said, y'all raise the crops. And they went on hunting. White man said, that didn't work out too good. He said, let's see what else we can do. Then they said as each tribe had its own, each nation now had its own little plot, they went to each family and said, you know, that other family over there might be getting more corn than you. They might be out there digging potatoes when you sleep. What you need to do is take that land right around your house, and that's your land. So each family then divided up, and each had their own little plot of land. But he still had to try to get this man out of the forest. So an old, wise Georgia Baptist missionary came up to New York. He said, oh, I know how to handle this. Get them to planting cotton, flax. Pay them $2 an acre for all the cotton and the flax that they do. So they did that. Said, give them spinning wheels. Give all of the squaws spinning wheels. Free. They gave them the spinning wheels. He said, now what you do is you pay them for every yard of material that they make out of that cotton. Not for us. Don't buy it from them. Let them keep it. He said, now, once they start doing that, you see, up until that time, the way that the family was clothed was when the man went out and hunted, he not only got food, he got the skins for their clothes. But he said, once you get that woman to making her clothes, she becomes independent of her man, and you'll divide the family. I mean, when you look at how they started with the total nation, they broke it down into the tribes, then they divided up the families, then they destroyed the individuals, because once that woman lost respect for her man, she was no longer a woman, and once the man didn't have a woman, he couldn't be a man. So she told him, look, when she got independent, look, you out there riding them horses, playing with them bow and arrows, you get in here and do some of this plowing.
Yes, sir.
See, and I recognized that pattern when I heard it. We don't have to go through a whole litany on black history. You know black history. And if you check it, it's the same pattern. See, that's one thing about white folks. They're a programmed people. That's why they could invent a thing called a computer, because it's in tune with their nature. Guy go, garbage in, garbage out. Once you program it, you can't get off the program. See? That's why they can go with this little jive rock stuff and take it away from us and put little Richard and them out of it. They can go with that. White folks, if you notice, what black musicians can't make money? Jazz. You know why? Because you can't program it. You got to be creative and be able to improvise, and white folks can't do it. So, the program never changes with white folks. Once you learn the pattern, you know what's coming next. You look and see where you are in the design, you know what they're getting ready to do next. All right. Now let's look at this. Since we went through the same process of destruction that those New York Indians did at the hands of the same man, what's the best way to get back to our real selves? If somebody goes to New York and kidnaps you and brings you to Chicago, if you want to go back to New York, the last state you came through was Indiana. What's the first state you're going to have to go through to get back? Is that right? I mean, you just have to reverse the process. Well, that's the same way. If the man started with a nation and got all the way down till he destroyed the individual, then to rebuild the nation, you got to start by building the individual. Is he in step with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Yes, we just didn't listen to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, we read all this propaganda and see all this propaganda about how many followers the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had. He didn't have no bunch of followers. He had a bunch of lip-professing niggas. I know, because I was one. I ain't going to confess for you, but I'll confess for me. How do I know? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us for 44 years. The key to our rise is a thorough knowledge of self, God, and the devil in that order. Yes. We skip self, we skip God, and when you walked in a mosque, all you heard was devil, devil, devil. We missed the whole program fighting the devil. How you going to skip 2 steps? You'll slip on the third one and break your neck, which is what we did. Wasn't Allah's mosque. It was Satan's mosque, because that's who you heard about. You ever notice a wise politician never calls his opponent's name? No, a good politician ain't going to give his opponent all that free publicity. Hey, we built the devil up. We say all praise due to Allah every now and then, but we was devil, devil, devil. Satan, Shaitan, Lucifer. I mean, we was in it. That's all you heard was devil, devil, devil. Say, when you said Muslim, all them people that teach the white man's the devil. But no. Mr. Farrakhan is saying we didn't do it then, we got to do it now. Start with self. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. Anybody doing it any other way is not doing his program. You have to learn self to even know how to relate to God or the devil. If you don't know you, you don't know how to relate with anything around you. If you take a lamb who doesn't know he's a lamb, and he's talking to a wolf, and the wolf say, let's go eat some lamb chops, he'll be for it. So we've got to deal with self. And the natural extension from self is kind. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. Now, as Minister Farrakhan points out, Islam is inclusive. It's not exclusive. Divine will is imprinted on human nature. You know that? There's a divine imprint on all our natures. Every human being on earth. Therefore, Islam is there for anyone who will submit to Allah and accept it. But I can't at this point, because I'm not at that stage. I haven't reached the stage with self and kind to do any outreach. Let me tell you what I'm saying. And don't go say, oh, see, Mr. Farrakhan is saying that we got to link arms with everybody around the earth, and you saying something different. Wait a minute. He's absolutely right. We have got to do that. Somebody's got to do it. If you went down to Marshall Field, Carson Peary Scott, you came into the luggage department, and I'm selling luggage, and you tell me you want to buy some lingerie, sister, what could I do? Send you to the person selling lingerie. That ain't my department. Okay? Don't say, well, you supposed to be working for Marshall Fields, ain't you? Marshall Fields sell lingerie, don't they? Well, by logic, if you working for Fields sell lingerie, I want to buy lingerie, you supposed to sell me some lingerie. Logical, but not valid. Well, I go tell Mr. Shriver, you ain't with his program. No, I'm with his program, you just in the wrong department. So, I love all of my Arab brothers and sisters, African brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and all that. It just happens that my department that I work in is the so-called Negro department. And understood? And we got people that work in them all. But my department is the one where the folks are who descended from the folks who were slaves for 310 years and then spent another 122 years or so, in servitude, and not in servitude, but in hidden slavery. That's my department, okay? Now, as I just pointed out, we had a problem. The whole nation fell because we failed a test. We didn't understand the information that was being taught us, and when we got tested on it, we flunked. Now, Minister Farrakhan has said this over and over ever since he stood up. You got to take the test again. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Well, what are we going to be tested on? Same thing we were tested on last time. Can't flunk algebra and go say, well, I want to take physical education because you know that's a SOP. No, you got to pass the same thing you just flunked. But the difference, he said, is, Minister Farrakhan says this time he is giving us the answers. And some of us may say, whew, that's better. Now I know I can make it. Be too sure. Those of you who have college backgrounds, you are familiar with what is known as the open book exam. The first time you heard about that thing, you say, hey, just like you heard about the minister giving us the answer. Open book exam, what's that? Well, that's where you can take the textbook in the class with you. They give you the test and you can go, hey, man, I like this. That was the first one. But you catch somebody that's been around that campus for a while and has taken a few, when you say, we have an open book exam, oh my God. Because they know what that means. Because when you take a standardized exam, it's mostly memory. You memorize a few things and you get in there and you fill in the blanks or do the multiple choice or whatever you're going to do. But when you take an open book exam, it means that the exact words to the answer are not in the book. You got to understand the depth of the concepts that you're supposed to have. That means you got to really understand your subject matter. You can't shuck and you can't carry no ponies. So this is what we've got coming. Or we're already in it. An open book exam. You say, well, Mr. Farrakhan is giving us the answers. What answers is he giving us? He's giving us actually the answer, singular. He's giving us what we need to pass the exam. By this course that he's got us undertaking, we can develop what's necessary. We're talking about the knowledge, the facts, the data. No, it's not that kind of an exam. It's not going to test how smart you are. Not going to test how good a memory you got, how fast you can read. No. That's not going to help you. All the intellect, acumen, sagacity, perspicacity, and all them other big words, including elephant, will not help you through this one. It's not a test of the head, it's a test of the heart. That's why we flunked, because we thought, if I can recite all my lessons, backwards and forwards, start learning them in Arabic, I can make it. But it wasn't in your heart. Now, Brother Minister Farrakhan is trying to get us in shape so that if he leaves for any reason, now he went away from us for a few months, and that's when he determined what he had to do. Because we were headed down the same trail we were headed before. And last Sunday in Los Angeles, Brother Minister Farrakhan was explaining Jesus' use of the term good shepherd. Because, you know, a shepherd keeps his sheep together, because without the shepherd, the sheep will scatter. But Jesus qualified the term shepherd. He said, but there's a good shepherd. So you got a lot of folks out there who would like to shepherd this flock. But they want to shepherd this flock so that this flock can bear to them. But Minister Farrakhan points out, the good shepherd gets the flock so that if the shepherd leaves, the flock will stay intact. Because the flock will not be dependent upon the shepherd. He's not trying to enslave us, as so many other people are. He wants us to be self-sufficient. He wants us to stand up for the first time in our life. And some of us say, I stood up with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. No, you didn't. No, I'm not calling you a liar. You thought you were. I thought I was. But you see, this is why the Holy Quran says we must believe in the unseen. Because we saw us standing, but we didn't see the prop that was holding us up. We thought we were standing on our own. And soon as Allah snatched the prop, down we went with a crash. Humpty Dumpty had nothing on us. All of the guidance, all of the things that we need to take us from here to the hereafter are contained in this book, the Holy Quran. That confused some people. There were some people who were taught and believed we don't need anything but the book. Grab the book, open it up and say, this is it. This is our leader. We don't need anybody else. Well, it can come to that. It should come to that. This book is definitely a guide. It opens up telling you it's a guide. So if it's a guide, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, since a fisherman is not a fisherman until he fishes, a guide is not a guide till he guides. So now, but now, we thought we could follow this book. And you look at all of those of us who tried to take this book and follow this book, where are they now? That's nothing against the book. The book got everything in it we need. But that's not sufficient for us at the stage that we're at. Just give me the book, I can handle it. Tell you what you do. If you have acute appendicitis, anytime in the future, I'll give you my phone number. If you have acute appendicitis and that bad boy is about to rupture, I have a book on my shelf that tells you everything you need to know about performing an appendectomy. I'll give you the book.
Yes.
And then we'll send the coroner to go pick up that fool with a book in his hand and a knife in his side. No. If you want that appendix taken care of, the same knowledge that's in the book is necessary, but you got to get somebody who is trained and skilled in how to apply the knowledge that's in the book to get your appendix out. Look, we got all the prophets' books. Well, not all of them, but we got enough of them. And we got Moses, we got Ezekiel, we got Isaiah, we got Jeremiah. I mean, we got a bunch of folks' books. What shape are we in? I mean, with all of that, what kind of shape are we in today with all those prophets' books? This book, Muslims got this all over the world. They're all in bad shape. There's not a Muslim nation that's at peace right now except those that are sucking up to the Jews and the Christian nations. So now, what happened? Why are the people who are practicing what Jesus and Muhammad and all those folks taught? What happened to them? You got all their books. Well, that's just like that appendectomy. You gonna tell me the operation was successful, but the patient died? Look at the way that the Muslims study Islam. You'll find that most of the foreign Muslims refer more to the hadith, the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad than they do to the Quran. Why? Because when they read the book, they tell you they're scholars, but they can't get no sense out of it. So they study the life of Muhammad to try to find out how you're supposed to apply this stuff, man. That's what they're doing. They study how he did it to figure out how they can't just read the book and do it. They got sense enough to know that. But they have to study his life to see what he did. Yeah, they know what the words say, but it doesn't mean anything. They have to watch a man to find out how to make those words apply. Praise is due to Allah. The actions of the man are so important. So brothers and sisters, have you ever noticed? We don't even have a book by Jesus. Did you notice that? Notice that. You study Jesus' life, don't you? You study what Jesus did, how he applied that which he was given by the Father. But there is no book of Jesus in anybody's Bible. You got Matthew, Mark, you got Luke, you got John, and you got Paul, Peter. But you do not have a book by Jesus. Think about this. It's so important to know how to apply the teaching. They didn't even give you the teaching. They just showed you the man applying it and say you can get there better by studying him than you can by studying what he taught. This book is definitely a guide. But this book qualifies. In the opening of the book, Allah himself says, this book, there is no doubt in it, is a guide. But a guide to whom? It doesn't say a guide to everybody in the world. It says that it is a guide to those who are from among the mutaqin. That's the Arabic word that's in there, and you find different translators translated differently. Maulana Muhammad Ali says, those who keep their duty. Yusuf Ali says it's a guide to those who fear God. The root of the word is ittaka, which means to guard against evil. Now, what is the difference? Or is there a difference? And why can one word be translated so many different ways by the different translators? You know, when the Bedouins, the desert dwellers as they were called, came to Muhammad one time, 1400 years ago, and told him that they believed, he was so overjoyed until Allah revealed to him to go back to them and tell them, don't say you believe. say you submit. It says, don't say amana, I believe. Say aslama, I submit. When you submit, this book didn't say, this book, there's no doubt in it, is a guide to those who are from among the Muslims. Didn't say that. The word Islam means to submit entirely to the will of God for whatever reason. Muslim is one who does that. Iman is belief or faith in God. One who does that is called mu'min, the believer. This book does not say it is a guide to those who are from among the mu'min. It says that it is a guide to those who are from among the mutaqin. And none of the translators were wrong. That one word, you could write a whole paragraph on the meaning of it. And there are so many other words that come out of it. Taqwa, fear of God. But none of the three definitions I just mentioned to you are wrong, because those who fear God guard against evil by doing their duty. Praises due to Allah. The first stage of belief is to become a Muslim. You submit. You submit and say, yes, I believe Allah is God. You declare. You say, I want to serve Allah. You're still doing a little wrong. You may not be doing something unlawful, but you're doing something not good for yourself. You don't just come in today and then tomorrow you perfect. It don't happen like that. So you got some things to go through. You say, that's far kind of right, boy. After this pack, I'm giving them up. Oh, yeah. We all went through that. But now, that's the first stage. You want to leave off evil. You want to do right. That's the first stage. When it enters into your heart that you want to do right, then you're a Muslim. You're striving to leave off your evil habits. Then when you become mu'min, you're a believer. You have left off all of your evil habits that you can identify. You have not yet reached the pinnacle. Because though you don't do it, still got a little pull on you. Oh yeah, still got a little pull on you. Yes, sir. You done gave it up. But every time you pass by one of them billboards and say, I assume you drink Martell, you say, oh, almost had a wreck. You don't do it, but you ain't out of the woods yet. The book won't guide you. This book will not guide you when you submit, want to do right, but haven't found a way to do it yet. This book will not guide you. When you get to the point where you believe so strongly that you have left off all evil, but you still have that strong attraction pulling at you, this book will not guide you. But when you reach the stage where you have left off evil, have no more desire for evil, now you don't have to operate and practice your religion in a negative sense of what I don't do this and I don't do that. But you spend all your waking hours looking for good to do. Then you are from among the mutaqin. And ain't none of us reached that stage yet. That's the stage that Minister Farrakhan is trying to get us to. He's developing us by stage, and he's patient. He's patient because he knows it's not going to happen in a day or two. So he's working with us to develop our will, to develop in us the ability to guarantee our success by taking conscious and deliberate action in the name of Allah and knowing that it's going to work out right. Not hoping, not thinking, because see, some of us mess up, get all confused in that. We say inshallah and try to lean on him. No, we say inshallah because we know ain't nothing going to happen unless he lets it happen. But we put our will to work and say, I'm going to say be, and it is inshallah. All praises due to Allah. Is he in step with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on that? Yes. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, don't will and then be suspicious that your will not come to pass. See, this is why a lot of us say, well, you know, I try to believe that, and you know, I put my will out on something and it didn't work. Because you put it out thinking it might not work. Yeah, you know, like putting your toe in the water to see how hot it is, how cold. No, dive.
Yes, sir.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that when you doubt that your will come to pass, you have said a prayer to Allah and you put your will out there. He said, if you have the least bit of doubt that it's going to happen, you have doubt in yourself, you doubt your prayer, and you doubt the God that you pray to, you're a hypocrite. Minister Farrakhan said it another way. He said, doubt is the mother of hypocrisy. That's right. How can you doubt unless you disbelieve in God? You go into a battle. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad used to tell us, if they come at you with a tank, and you know we don't carry weapons, we got nothing but our bare hands and Allah. He said, if they come at you in tanks, he said, if you say Allahu Akbar and charge the tank, you might survive. If you turn heels and run, you got to die.
That's right. That's right.
See? Doubt is the mother of hypocrisy, and doubt and fear are Siamese twins.
Go ahead.
Right. You don't have any doubt in the God. Therefore, as the Holy Quran tells you, when you are of those who do good, who believe and do good, you have no fear, nor shall you grieve. Don't have to be afraid, and you ain't going to have to grieve over nobody after it's over because you stood tall. Just show you about that. Fear. Fear is real, brothers and sisters. It's real. It's not material. It's not matter. Because you know matter, and those of you who are these expert physicists, correct me if I'm wrong, but matter has to have weight and occupy space, right? Okay, you can't put fear on a scale and make the needle waver. It doesn't have any weight, but it occupies space. Fear occupies space. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that fear is parasitic. It must have a host to thrive on. So he said, that is why when you are in a battle or about to go into a battle and you're afraid, which is natural, you're going to go in it afraid. You were born afraid. And then the fear was nursed in you. So you got the fear. Don't say you wasn't. When you see a hero, that's not somebody who wasn't afraid. You see somebody that's a fool, that's somebody who wasn't afraid. But when you see a hero, the reason he's a hero, the reason they paying medal on, because they know he overcame fear.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
That's what makes you a hero, not being a fool. I ain't scared of nothing.
Make it plain.
But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, when you get that fear out of you, by it having to occupy space, and by it being parasitic and must have a host, when the fear comes out of you, it goes into your enemy. That's why when you don't have fear, you see your enemy turn tail. We had an experience years ago when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was dedicating the mosque in Baltimore, Maryland. And the police came out with their dogs. And the FOI was lined up at attention. And the police came up with their dogs and had them behind us with their noses just about touching the legs of some of the brothers. And Elijah Muhammad Jr., who was the Assistant Supreme Captain at that time, said, "About face!" And we made an about face, and all of these well-trained attack dogs started shivering and getting behind their master.
Go ahead. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Cowardice is dangerous.
That's right.
Cowardice will get you and everybody else killed. I'm still on doubt, because that's where your cowardice comes from. You can't be a coward unless you doubt Allah. Cowardice is the mark of Cain. Did you know that? You know, all of us are so familiar with the story of Cain and Abel, and if you ask the average person, what was Cain's great wrong that displeased God? 99 out of 100 will say he murdered his brother. But wait a minute. God was already displeased with Cain. That's how the murder came about, remember? Abel offered a sacrifice, and God accepted the sacrifice. And Cain offered a sacrifice, and God didn't accept his sacrifice. What's wrong? Does it tell you that Cain had done anything to anger God? Cain hadn't done anything. But God saw something in Cain's heart that he had to bring out. Cain was playing goody-goody two-shoes. See, Abel took an animal, killed the animal, and sacrificed it to God. But Cain went out and got some grain or something and threw it up on the altar. Can you see the difference? As if to say, see, my brother he's brutal, he's cruel, sheds blood of an innocent beast who never did anything to anybody. But I am going to give you something that doesn't cost any blood, that doesn't. So what did God do? He proved that he would not shed blood for the glory of God, but he shed his own brother's blood for his envy. All praises to the Lord. That's not my subject today, but it's part of it.
Yes, sir.
Fear, cowardice, is a dark corner of our nature that must be overcome. We've got to overcome it. Now, the last time I was in Chicago, Minister Farrakhan was teaching on the unreality of darkness. The fact that darkness in and of itself is not an entity. Darkness is nothing but a condition that comes about when something blocks the light. So now, if you know that, you won't waste your time trying to fight darkness. That's why they got that saying, it's better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. You can't deal with the darkness. The darkness doesn't exist. You can't do nothing with that. If the darkness is hampering your sight or your vision, then you got to go deal with the reality that's creating the darkness.
Right.
Now, one of the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us was that fear was bred into us by feeding us the wrong foods. Yeah, fear. But a material thing helped to produce that fear. So if we want to clean out these dark corners, then we're going to have to deal with some physical things. That's why the Holy Quran says fasting is prescribed for you. Prescribed. You know what prescribed is, don't you? That's what you go and get from somebody when you're sick, and you take that prescription and it's supposed to get rid of your sickness. So what is wrong with us? The Holy Quran says fasting will heal it. In volume 1 of How to Eat to Live by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on page 19, he says, and I quote, fasting is a greater cure of our ills, both mental and physical, than all of the drugs of the earth combined into one. Mental as well as physical. Why? Because the mental illness, that darkness in your mind, is the result of physical things. To develop our will, Brother Minister Farrakhan has us practicing better dietary habits. There's some of us don't eat over a dozen times a month right now. And some say they're going to do less than that. Why? To build up that will. Well, what do you mean? How do you build? Look, do you know that the most powerful drive in nature is survival? The most powerful drive. What they say, the first law of nature? Self-preservation. It has 2 prongs. The first is to remain here, and the second is to perpetuate yourself. That's why your appetite for food and your sex drive are the 2 strongest urges that you have. Now, you conquer those, don't tell me you can't make rain, hail, snow, and earthquake. overcome any difficulty because ain't nothing more difficult than that. Don't you know you drive down the street and all these greasy spoons got odors wafting out the window?
That's right.
Look at me, I ain't had a bite to eat since Tuesday. I just came in on the plane, they serving all kind of stuff. Hey, you know I feel good. If I can fight that, show me something. What that Cyrano Bergerac say, I'm too good for men, bring me giants. This enables us then to face difficulty and go through it. Yes, it's self-imposed, but it's difficult. Don't let nobody tell you, oh yeah, I fasted 4 or 5 days, wasn't nothing to it. Take him to the funny farm. Jack, if you don't want food, you are not playing with a full deck at all. No. We've had difficulty all our lives and we're going to keep on having it. Well then, what do? If you see that it's impossible to avoid it, you try to figure out a way to deal with it, don't you? You are not going to avoid difficulty. You're not going to avoid hardship. Well, if you can't avoid it, why keep getting your head bloody and crying and cringing? Get in shape so you can handle it.
Right. Yes, sir.
See, but wait a minute. The Holy Quran says, in the 2nd Surah, 185th verse, that Allah desires ease for us and not hardship. Well, that's true. But in the 90th Surah, in the 4th verse, he says man was created to face difficulty. But that's the key. He said he was created to face difficulty, not to be conquered by difficulty, not to lie down and try to compromise with difficulty, but to face difficulty straight up and overcome it. You find a pattern in the Bible and the Quran. You find all of the men of God. You find a pattern of difficulty. But what else do you find a pattern of? Overcoming the difficulty. That's the pattern that God is trying to show us. There's always the difficulty, but by strong belief in him and adhering to his will, you overcome the difficulty. And it says a little further in the Quran, after difficulty comes ease. Now, you and I have, most of us who have read that and who've been taught that, what we think of is that we go through all of this difficulty and finally, when we get through this difficulty, we get to the ease and we can just relax. And I'm sorry that the folks on the radio are going to miss it because this is my subject coming up. And instead of after difficulty comes ease, the title of my subject today is After Difficulty, Overcome Ease.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay? And those of you who are listening to the broadcast, as I say, if you want to get the rest of it, you have to hurry over. Don't get no tickets. Or either come and pick up the tape. But we want to get into the crux of it, and then we'll be through. Just a few minutes.
Yes, sir.
We go through all of this difficulty for what? After difficulty comes ease. Well, now, if you see a man doing road work, doing push-ups, jumping rope, and sparring, you say, oh, after the training comes the fight, right? Is he going to have an easier time in the ring than he had on the road?
No, sir.
No. The reason he got to go through all of that is to get ready for the fight. Well, if after difficulty comes ease, we got to do all this going through difficulty so we can try to handle that ease. Because the ease is a monster, brothers and sisters.
That's right. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir. Think about it.
No nation has ever been destroyed by difficulty. Every nation has fallen during a period of ease. Check it for yourself. Look at the Roman Empire. When they were out there scuffling and everybody is at their gates, they fought off the world. Then when they got rich and fat and happy,
Yes, sir.
they crumbled, didn't it?
That's right. That's right.
Greece did the same thing before them. Persia did the same thing. Look at the history of the United States. When they were at Valley Forge wrapping burlap sacks around there, they were mean, weren't they?
That's right. Yes, sir.
And look at the society during that time. Look at the society back in the 1700s and the 1800s and even in the 1900s. Look at the morals of the people.
That's right.
You never saw. That's why they say you've come a long way, baby. Yeah, but they don't tell you in which direction. You didn't see no women smoking.
That's right. Make it plain.
Even when they started smoking, they wouldn't hear. You didn't see them like you see them now, walking down the street, nigger lipping, with a cigarette in their mouth. That's right. You look at all them old movies. Look at Ford, that's on TV now. Look how the women dressed back in those days when this was a struggling nation that was trying to overcome, trying to make its place in the world. All them women, you couldn't see no ankle. If their dress came up a little bit, they had on high-top shoes. That's right. That's right. And look at them men. Ford was a little different. He was a little ahead of his time. But women had less time keeping men then. Oh, yes, they did. Think about your great-grandma and your great-grandpa. They died together. He used to go out in the field and work from sun up to sundown for her till the day he laid down in his grave. And she was tied up to here and buckled down to there. Did nobody know what was in Grandma's sack? But Grandpa did it. But today, the richer this nation became, the more decadent it became.
That's right. That's right.
The more immoral it became. Used to be a time you could walk down the street, you see women coming down the street, you could tell the prostitute from the housewife, couldn't you?
That's right.
Today, can you tell the difference? No. And you know why? The prostitute hasn't started dressing like the housewife. The housewife is dressing like the prostitute.
Go ahead. Make it plain.
And then wonder why they can't get a decent man. If I want to catch a rat, I bait the trap with cheese. If you bait the trap with meat, you get a dog.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Think about it. Yes. The doctor.
Crack. Eve. Boy, back in the old Barbie Coast days, San Francisco was rough. When Bat Masterson and them boys was out there, when they talk about San Francisco, they say, yeah, that's the town where the men are men and the women are glad of it. Now they say that's the town where the women are women and half the men are too.
Good teaching.
See, every one of them was able to overcome difficulty, but they couldn't handle ease that came after the difficulty. The Holy Quran tells you. Allah talks about, I have raised up nations before you. And then when they got into things about, they had to fall. He said, now I will raise you up and put you in rulership and see how you act. Because if you don't act right, you go in the way of all flesh and I'll raise up somebody else. But it's not the difficulty. He's going to see you through the difficulty. Can you handle the ease? You know, all y'all know about a piece of the rock, Gibraltar. Well, Gibraltar is the corruption of an Arabic term, Jibal el Tariq, meaning the rock of El Tariq. El Tariq was a bad Muslim general. Or as they tell you in the history book, he was a Moor. Because they sometimes call him black Moor, because Moor means black. If your great-great-grandparents were owned by some white folks named Moore, and you carrying the name Moore, it means black, so you're in pretty fair shape. Moore, Morris, you know, they talk about the Moorish conquest. See? When they first started calling us black Muslims, folks thought that was a nickname they made up for us. They were giving a signal to their people who understood history that they are just like those black Muslims that landed on the shores of Spain and conquered most of Europe. The black Muslims did. It wasn't no Arabs.
That's right.
They didn't do that. These were black Muslims out of Africa.
Right.
Now, when they hit the shore, El Tariq was the leader. When they hit the shore, they looked back at El Tariq had set all the boats on fire. These guys say, wait, whoa. Wait a minute, baby. You're burning up the boat. Tariq says, we won't need them. We ain't going back. A Muslim knows nothing but victory or death.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We'll never use those boats again. We'll either take it or we die.
Right.
So they started. They worked. And they were the scourge. I mean, they were ripping them. Nobody could stop them. Europe threw its best combined armies against those Muslims, those black Muslims. They could not stop them.
right.
Couldn't even slow them down, let alone stop them.
That's right.
A wise general named Charles Martel said, "You're doing it the wrong way." He said, when those Muslims come at you, you cannot defeat them because they are filled with religious zeal. And according to the dictionary, the definition of a fanatic is one filled with religious zeal. So when the man calls us fanatics, we think it's something dirty, but his folks know what he's talking about. I'm glad to be, as I said, a fanatic. Pray Allah keep me a fanatic forever and raise my children to be fanatics. White folks don't fear no marching, demonstrating niggas. White folks either. I saw whipping a couple of them on TV this morning. No. He said, you can't do it that way. He said, as long as they have that religious zeal, they will wipe you out. He says, you've been messing up. He said, when you leave your villages, you burn your fields, scorch the earth, so they won't have nothing to eat. He said, you take all your valuables, take all your family, you just leave them nothing. And so they got nothing to do but call on their God, and they're killing us. He said, start leaving your fields intact. Leave some of your valuable gold and jewels around there. Even leave a few of your women around there. You know they left the women. All you have to do is look at those Italians and some of them Spaniards and Southern Frenchmen. You can see that they left some of them women for them black Muslims. Martel predicted correctly. In a few months, when they have become used to luxury, they will begin to quarrel over the leadership, which is exactly what they did. When they began to gather together all this stuff and begin to have food to eat and fine clothes to wear and a bunch of women around, and they started looking at each other and, wait a minute, who told you you was the leader anyhow?
That's right.
I mean, they been following him all this time. But now, wait a minute. Now, I mean, hey, man, I got much as you. I've been fighting these battles just like you. My broad bad as your broad. I mean, what is this? Consequently, when they got to that state, Charles Martel led an army, stopped them. That's when the great Spanish Inquisition and thing came. They were cutting Muslims' hands, feet, heads, and everything else off, and they stopped the Muslim conquest of Europe.
That's right.
See, this goes way back. When you go back into the story of Adam and Eve, do you know that the serpent revealed a serious flaw in Adam's character? A serious flaw. Why did Adam and Eve so quickly get beguiled by the serpent? God realized what was wrong. He had never struggled. See, Adam came into being, there's no sign of any struggle, any pain, any difficulty. When Eve was made, Adam didn't have to carry her 9 months and have no labor pains and all that. So he didn't know no pain from her, and he didn't know no pain from himself. Neither one of them knew any struggle.
Think about that.
You think about when you were born. Now, if you've had some children, you know about the pain of childbirth. But you don't remember no pain when you were born.
Come on.
All right. Now, Minister Farrakhan says that we don't know how long the process took. But in the process of creating himself, Allah experienced great pain and difficulty. See? So when he made man in his own image, there was a quality he had that the man did not have. Because he came into existence experiencing pain and difficulty, and Adam and Eve did not have that in their character. So God had to then sit them on another course where they would experience pain and difficulty. He told them they would only eat by the sweat. See, they were in their garden. All they had to do is reach out when they're hungry. Apple a day. Let me get some grapes. I think I have a banana. I've got a pineapple. They're fine. Throw me one. Understand?
That's right.
I mean, they were in Fat City.
That's right.
But that made a flaw in their character. And God realized and said, well, I got to put them in all the situations to build up their character. Then they can truly be divine and truly be my complete image and likeness. So he first told them they would only eat by the sweat of their brow. Then he also said in the Holy Quran, you all shall be enemies to one another. Set up opposition.
Right.
Then he said that childbirth would be bloody and painful.
Yeah.
All of that to make us develop that flaw, get rid of that flaw, develop the needed vacuum in our character. And that's what Brother Minister Farrakhan has us on, a road to God.
Right.
This is something been working on us ever since we've been in existence. And once we get it developed to that point, then we can get back to the ease. But if we don't develop that character flaw right, we'll fall right back out again. So he's trying to get us this time where we completely obliterate that flaw.
Right.
And that we will go into the ease ready to tackle it too.
Go ahead. Beautiful.
Praise is due to Allah. This is why you and I have been reading of the prophets and they look like failures, don't they? Just judging by what our limited knowledge was, we thought all the prophets failed. Because every last one of them, they came, we read, they were teaching the absolute truth, they were teaching righteousness, they were teaching justice. You can't hardly find righteousness or justice on the earth. Right. They killed some of them, they jailed some of them, they ran some of them out, they did everything. Looks like they failed. They didn't fail. They did what they were supposed to do. The fact that we still have their books today, they did what they were supposed to do. The man is here today to do what they were not supposed to do. To take their messages and put them into action. Holy Quran says Muhammad is naught but a messenger. That's what it says. It makes that very plain. All of the prophets were nothing but messengers. The postman that brings your mail, that's a messenger. He brings it and gives it to you. If you open it up and it's a bill, he don't pay the bill.
That's right. That's right.
That's up to you. All he got to do is bring the message. He ain't gonna fire him in the boy. Hey man, this guy didn't pay my charge account. That wasn't his job, man. Blam.
That's right.
He brought you. Now, if he didn't deliver your mail and they cut off your credit card so you didn't get the bill, then you look at the messenger, the postman. But if he delivered the message, then from there you got it.
That's right.
That's where we are today. No more prophets. Muhammad was the last. No more prophets. Now we got to enact.
Right.
Well, but we don't know how. That's what we got Minister Farrakhan for. Not to do it for us. That's something, a burden that we laid on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that was so unjust. He was naught but a messenger when he was teaching among us. His job was to deliver the word to us, period. His job was not to develop farmland. His job was not to set up a bank. His job was not to get an airline and get an airport. That was our job once he delivered the message to us.
Right.
So as Minister Farrakhan is developing this nation, he sees us following the same old Negro pattern.
Right.
Hey, yeah, go, Brother Farrakhan. Put out another product, Brother Farrakhan. Publish another paper, Brother Farrakhan. Build a restaurant, Brother Farrakhan.
Right.
No, brothers and sisters, if we repeat the same old foolishness, we go in the same old way.
That's right.
So this is why he's trying to teach us now. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, what? Do for self.
That's right.
And the first thing most of us ever heard of him teaching, do for self. Who do you think he was talking to? He said, do for self, and then we sit out and ask him to do it. He said, do for self. We sitting down trying to get Minister Farrakhan to do it.
That's right.
It's got to be brought to a screeching halt. We have got to develop where we stand up and do our job.
That's right. That's right.
Now, as I say, the messengers brought the message. That's fine. We can't handle it yet. Nothing wrong with that. You know, you can, all of you in here just about, you could go right off and take a correspondence course in just about anything you were interested in and develop it. But you can't take a correspondence course in kindergarten, can you? No, first grade, second grade, you can't take correspondence courses. Those. You have to have a teacher to get you to a certain stage before you're able then to learn independently. Okay, so it's no contradiction what Minister Farrakhan is doing now. It's a matter of he is trying to get us to a point where the program changes for real, where we begin to do what we're supposed to do. Then we can overcome difficulty. And after we overcome the difficulty, inshallah, we can overcome ease. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I don't know whether they told you I'm not long-winded. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.